The Great Depression 2.0 isn't coming, it's here, and your state might be next on the chopping block. Across America, the numbers are terrifying. Household debt has exploded to over $17.5 trillion, with average credit card balances crossing $9,300 per family, the highest ever recorded. Mortgage delinquencies jumped nearly 12% in 2024, while auto loan defaults surged past 15%, levels we haven't seen since the 2008 crash. States are drowning too. Combined unfunded pension liabilities have blown past $1.4 trillion, and budget deficits for 2025 already top $70 billion nationwide. Nearly 600,000 Americans fled high-cost states last year, gutting tax bases and leaving collapsing cities behind. Property insurance premiums are up 23% nationwide, with some states seeing average bills of $10,000 annually. This isn't just an economic slowdown. This is state-level insolvency spreading like wildfire. And if you think your state is safe, think again. Some are already teetering on the edge of outright bankruptcy. Number 10. Oregon. The Pacific Northwest is often marketed as a utopia of forests, tech startups, and progressive politics. But Oregon is collapsing from the inside out. The median household income is around $77,000. Yet the median home price across the state has blown past $510,000, while in Portland it's closer to $570,000. That means the average family needs more than 6 times their annual income just to afford a home. Renters aren't better off, coughing up $2,100 a month on average. Credit card debt has ballooned to $8,600 per household, and bankruptcies surged 14% in 2024 as families simply couldn't keep up. Businesses are fleeing downtown Portland in droves after years of unrest, leaving tax coffers bleeding. The state's finances mirror the pain. Oregon carries over $30 billion in unfunded pension obligations and is staring down a $2.1 billion budget shortfall by 2026. Infrastructure is in shambles. More than 400 bridges are rated structurally deficient, requiring at least $2.3 billion in repairs. On top of this, Oregon depends heavily on income taxes for revenue, making it extremely vulnerable to job losses. Just a 2% rise in unemployment would wipe out nearly $900 million in tax revenue. Outmigration compounds the crisis. More than 35,000 residents left in 2024, draining both consumer spending and state revenue. The poverty rate is stuck at 12%, with rural counties double that. Oregon presents itself as eco-friendly and innovative, but behind the craft beer and coffee shops, it's a state teetering on fiscal ruin. One more economic shock could push Oregon into a depression-level collapse. Number 9. Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, the birthplace of American independence, has become a modern case study in economic dependence, on debt, outdated industries, and a shrinking workforce. With a population of 12.9 million, nearly 47,000 people fled the state in 2024, weakening its already fragile tax base. The FARDM median income sits around $75,000, yet median home prices hover near $290,000 statewide, while Philadelphia now averages $360,000. Add property taxes averaging $6,000 a year, and families are suffocating. Household debt levels have pushed past $85,000, with credit card balances near $8,200, while bankruptcies rose 13% in 2024. Pennsylvania's state government faces one of the most dangerous fiscal cliffs in America. Unfunded pension liabilities exceeding $60 billion, projected to worsen as the state's workforce ages faster than the national average. Infrastructure is another ticking time bomb. More than 3,000 bridges are structurally deficient, repair costs estimated over $8 billion. Meanwhile, the collapse of coal and steel has gutted entire regions, leaving unemployment in some counties nearly double the national average. Healthcare is no relief, costing $11,800 per person annually, while rural hospital closures leave millions without reliable access. Education is squeezed too. The state faces a $1.2 billion public school funding gap by 2026. And don't forget population decline. The state's working-age population is shrinking faster than almost anywhere else in the U.S., guaranteeing long-term tax losses. Pennsylvania's political leaders sell it as the keystone of America, but in reality, the keystone is cracking. Debt, population flight, and collapsing infrastructure are eroding it into dust. Number 8. Michigan. Michigan is marketed as a comeback story, with Detroit's headlines about revival and auto industry jobs. But peel back the headlines and it's an illusion. Michigan's median household income is $67,000, far below the national $74,000, while the median home price has climbed to $265,000. Detroit, once America's industrial crown jewel, still carries a poverty rate near 30%. Household debt per family averages $81,000, with credit card balances topping $8,000. Bankruptcies increased 12% in 2024, and mortgage delinquencies are climbing again, echoes of the 2008 foreclosure crisis that devastated the state. State finances aren't any better. Michigan's pension system has an unfunded liability north of $40 billion, while budget shortfalls are projected to exceed $2 billion by 2026. Infrastructure is decaying at a pace few states can rival. More than 11% of Michigan's roads are in poor condition, while drinking water crises like Flint's still haunt the state. Repairs to bridges and highways are estimated to cost $4.5 billion over the next decade. The auto industry, long Michigan's economic backbone, is at risk as EV demand fluctuates, supply chains tighten, and layoffs ripple through the Big Three. Population trends add fuel to the fire. Over 40,000 residents left Michigan in 2024, chasing jobs and lower costs elsewhere. The poverty rate remains stuck above 13%, dragging communities down. Michigan tries to sell resilience, but the truth is harsher. It's a state trapped in a cycle of collapsing infrastructure, failing pensions, and struggling families. The comeback is just marketing spin masking depression-level fragility. Number 7. Connecticut. Connecticut often brags about its wealthy suburbs, Ivy League prestige, and hedge fund money, but it's quietly drowning under one of the heaviest debt loads in the nation. The median household income is $92,000, but the median home price has exploded to $460,000, while in Fairfield County it's closer to $700,000. Property taxes average $7,400 annually, hitting families already burdened with some of the highest energy bills in the U.S., averaging $280 a month. Household debt has soared above $96,000 per family, with credit card balances of $9,100 among the highest in the country. Bankruptcy filings jumped 16% in 2024, while foreclosures rose 14%. State finances are even more terrifying. Connecticut's pension system is catastrophically underfunded, with liabilities exceeding $80 billion, nearly half its entire GDP. Budget gaps are projected at $2.5 billion by 2026, leaving lawmakers no choice but to either hike already suffocating taxes or slash services. Infrastructure is collapsing despite the state's wealth. The I-95 corridor is crumbling, with $5.4 billion needed upgrades, while more than 8% of the state's bridges are deficient. Residents are fleeing, over 30,000 people left in 2024, draining billions in tax revenue. Meanwhile, healthcare costs average $12,600 per person annually, and student debt is crushing, with Connecticut borrowers carrying an average of $39,000 each. On paper, Connecticut looks rich, but it's a financial trap. Hedge funds and Yale can't paper over the reality that the state is hemorrhaging people, piling up debt, and racing toward insolvency. Behind the wealth, Connecticut is living a Great Depression sequel. Number 6. Washington. Washington is painted as a tech powerhouse with Seattle's glittering skyline and Amazon money flooding in. But the financial cracks are spreading fast. The state's median income sits at $91,000, but the median home price has surged to $640,000 statewide, with Seattle averaging a staggering $820,000. Renters are crushed too, paying $12,500 a month on average. Household debt averages $93,000 per family, and credit card balances top $8,900. Bankruptcies surged 12% in 2024, while mortgage delinquency rates ticked upward for the first time since the last housing crash. State finances are showing stress fractures. Washington depends heavily on sales taxes and business taxes, making revenue vulnerable to job losses in tech and trade. Pension liabilities exceed $35 billion, while budget gaps of $2.8 billion loom by 2026. Infrastructure is buckling. More than 7% of Washington's bridges are structurally deficient, and earthquake retrofits are estimated at $6 billion. Housing affordability is pushing residents out. Nearly 70,000 people fled Washington in 2024, many heading to Idaho or Texas, draining billions in tax revenue. Healthcare costs, averaging $2,100 per person annually, add to the household burden, while skyrocketing insurance premiums choke budgets further. The tech sector, the state's golden goose, is faltering as layoffs ripple through Amazon, Microsoft, and smaller startups, cutting billions from tax receipts. Washington is marketed as futuristic and innovative, but underneath the rain-soaked skyline, it's living paycheck to paycheck. The state is fragile, over-leveraged, and just one recession away from financial collapse. Number 5, Colorado. Colorado looks like a Rocky Mountain paradise. Ski slopes, booming tech hubs in Denver, and breweries on every corner. But beneath the mountain air lies a financial avalanche waiting to bury the state. The median household income sits at $88,000, yet the median home price statewide is already $585,000. While Denver metro homes are closer to $660,000. That means families need nearly 7 times their income just to buy in. Renters get no relief, with 2-bedroom apartments averaging $2,400 monthly. Household debt has shot up to $89,000 on average, with credit card balances over $8,700. Bankruptcies in Colorado rose 13% in 2024, while auto loan delinquencies surged 12% year over year. State finances aren't safer. Colorado faces nearly $40 billion in unfunded pension liabilities, with experts warning the retirement system could buckle within a decade. Budget gaps are projected to exceed $2 billion by 2026, fueled by ballooning healthcare costs and infrastructure needs. Speaking of infrastructure, the state's roads are in crisis. Nearly 25% of highways are rated poor, with repair costs estimated at $3.9 billion. On top of this, Colorado's over-reliance on tourism, an $18 billion industry, makes it highly vulnerable to recession. A single downturn could wipe billions from state revenue. Add water scarcity from the overdrawn Colorado River and rising insurance premiums from wildfire risk. Homeowners in fire zones now face $6,000 to $9,000 insurance bills, and the math is dire. More than 25,000 residents left in 2024, chasing cheaper living in the Midwest and South. Colorado markets itself as adventurous and thriving, but financially, it's a state climbing a cliff with no rope. One slip, and the fall will be catastrophic. Number 4. Maryland. Maryland is home to Washington commuters, defense contractors, and Johns Hopkins prestige. But don't let the wealthy suburbs fool you. The state is sliding into fiscal danger fast. Median household income sits high at $98,000, but the median home price has blown past $470,000, while in Montgomery County and Howard County it's north of $600,000. Property taxes average $6,200 annually, draining even upper-middle-class families. Household debt is crushing. The average family owes nearly $97,000, with credit card balances topping $9,300. Bankruptcy filings jumped 14% in 2024, and foreclosures rose 11%. Health care costs are punishing too, averaging $12,700 per person annually, while Maryland also holds one of the nation's highest student loan burdens, with the average borrower owing nearly $40,000. State finances are even shakier. Pension liabilities exceed $62 billion, while budget deficits of $2.6 billion are projected by 2026. The state's infrastructure is groaning under the weight of neglect. More than 270 bridges are structurally deficient, with the Chesapeake Bay Bridge alone needing billions in upgrades. Baltimore's water system has been called one of the most fragile in the nation, with replacement costs topping $3 billion. Meanwhile, population outflow is accelerating. More than 22,000 residents fled Maryland in 2024, many citing taxes and housing costs. Businesses are leaving Baltimore's hollowed-out downtown, reducing the tax base further. Crime adds another layer, costing the state billions annually in policing and lost commerce. Maryland presents itself as affluent, stable, and connected to D.C.'s money flow, but the truth is bleak. Behind the Beltway paychecks and suburban affluence, the state is over-leveraged, overtaxed, and edging toward insolvency. Number 3. Minnesota. Minnesota brands itself as the land of 10,000 lakes, but economically it's sinking beneath waves of debt, taxes, and population loss. The median household income is $82,000, yet the median home price has shot to $370,000 statewide, while in the Twin Cities it's pushing $430,000. Families are stretched thin, with average household debt at $84,000 and credit card balances topping $200. Bankruptcies rose 12% in 2024, and mortgage delinquencies ticked up 10%, the first significant increase in years. Taxes make the squeeze worse. Minnesota carries one of the highest state income tax rates in the country, topping 9.85%, while property taxes average $4,800 annually. Combined with healthcare costs of $11,900 per person, families are bled dry. On the government side, unfunded pension liabilities stand at $37 billion, while budget gaps of $1.9 billion loom by 2026. Infrastructure is faltering. More than 600 bridges are structurally deficient, with estimated repairs of $2.4 billion. The state's aging population compounds the fiscal cliff. Nearly 1 in 6 Minnesotans is now over 65, putting strain on healthcare and pensions. Meanwhile, Minnesota lost over 20,000 residents in 2024, many moving to lower tax states like Florida and South Dakota. This outmigration strips away billions in tax revenue annually. The poverty rate may sit at 10%, but rural counties face double-digit unemployment as farming and manufacturing decline. The so-called Minnesota miracle is now a financial mirage. Beneath the lakes and progressive branding lies a state drowning in debt, high taxes, and fiscal decay. Minnesota isn't preparing for the Great Depression 2.0, it's already living inside it. Number 2, New York. New York is the financial heartbeat of America, Wall Street, Broadway, and the city that never sleeps. But in 2025, it's not insomnia that keeps New Yorkers up at night. It's debt, taxes, and collapse creeping in like a slow-moving storm. The median household income across the state is $81,000, but the median home price is $450,000 statewide and well over $760,000 in New York City. Renters face devastation. The average Manhattan rent hit $5,200 per month in 2024, an all-time high, eating nearly 80% of the average paycheck. Credit card balances across the state have ballooned past $9,300 per household, while overall family debt averages over $97,000. Bankruptcy filings spiked 16% last year, with foreclosures rising sharply across Long Island and upstate. On the state level, the financial picture is even worse. New York faces unfunded pension liabilities of more than $200 billion, the second largest burden in the nation. Budget deficits are projected to hit $9 billion by 2026, forcing either painful tax hikes or devastating cuts. Infrastructure is collapsing. New York City's subway requires $60 billion in repairs, while over 1,700 bridges statewide are rated structurally deficient. Property taxes outside NYC are punishing, averaging $10,300 annually in Westchester County, the highest in America. Meanwhile, people are fleeing. Nearly 180,000 residents left New York in 2024, draining billions from the tax base. Add crime-driven business exits in Manhattan and skyrocketing insurance premiums, and the Empire State is financially crumbling. Wall Street may keep the illusion alive for now, but the reality is clear. New York is broke, bleeding residents, and sprinting headfirst into Depression 2.0. Number 1, Illinois. Illinois isn't just a warning sign. It's the poster child of state collapse in America. With 12.5 million people, Illinois carries a crushing fiscal weight unmatched by almost any other state. The median household income is $76,000, but Chicago's median home price is $320,000. And that's before factoring in some of the most brutal property taxes in the country, averaging $6,800 statewide and topping $10,000 in suburban counties. Families are choking under $9,400 in average credit card debt, while bankruptcies soared past $40,000 in 2024, among the highest in the nation. Mortgage delinquencies jumped 13%, echoing the early signs of collapse from the last housing crash. But the state's finances are where the true horror lies. Illinois has over $140 billion in unfunded pension liabilities, more than the GDP of entire countries like Hungary or Morocco. That's nearly 30% of the state's total economy, and experts warn the system could be insolvent within 15 years. Budget deficits are projected at $3.2 billion by 2026, while debt per capita sits at nearly $11,000, one of the worst in America. Infrastructure is falling apart. More than 2,400 bridges are structurally deficient, schools are underfunded by over $2 billion, and Chicago's transit system alone needs $7 billion in emergency repairs. The population is fleeing. 110,000 people left in 2024, dragging tax revenue with them. Nearly 1 in 8 homes in some Chicago suburbs are underwater financially. Illinois isn't waiting for the Great Depression 2.0. It's already living in it. The combination of runaway pensions, deficits, and mass exodus make Illinois ground zero for America's financial collapse. It's not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. The Great Depression 2.0 isn't some distant warning. It's already tearing through families, cities, and entire states. Debt is at record highs, pensions are collapsing, and hundreds of thousands are fleeing to cheaper ground, leaving government coffers emptier by the day. The truth is simple. States aren't just broke. They're bleeding out, and once the dominoes start falling, the collapse spreads fast. The question you need to ask yourself isn't if your state will be next. The question is, how soon before the bills, the taxes, and the bankruptcies catch up to you? Because the storm isn't on the horizon anymore. It's already here.